Hi everyone, I'm Gus from Askewed Reviews, and today is episode 3 of Everything Gets Reviewed. This is a series where I take suggestions from all of you on reviewing anything and everything, from rubber bands to panda bears to the color purple or even the wind. Every suggestion I get gets added to a wheel and will randomly be chosen, and today I chose a suggestion from Gypsio. Now it's time to reveal what was chosen for today. Something comfy, cozy, relaxing, and heavy. That's right. Today it's weighted blankets. Mm, yeah. All right. Oh, all right. Get unrelaxed. Time to talk about today's topic. Before going over its history, one thing I do in every episode of Everything Gets Reviewed is a trivia question. Some weighted blankets are made with a very thick yarn. If you were to fully unravel and stretch that out, what's the longest length it's been known to get to? The answer will be at the end of this episode. So, to go back to the origins of this weighty wonder, we first have to talk about deep pressure therapy. If you're not aware of what that is, the concept is a therapy system to assist people with autism, ADHD, dementia, and other mental health conditions. This is done, as you can probably assume, by adding different layers of pressure. Now, to start our journey, we travel back to 1965, where we have an autistic scientist named Temple Grandin. If you've never heard of her, she actually has a very fascinating life, and they've even done a movie about her. But anyway, she did invent something called the hug machine, which was a device to study the calming effects of deep touch pressure in autistic people. To go from Grandin's machine to an actual blanket, we jump ahead to 1997. This is the year that Keith Zivelich produces the first weighted blanket called the Magic Weighted Blanket. The original version was a comforter filled with beans, although not the food bean that you're thinking of, but plastic beans, as Zivelich got the idea from Beanie Babies. Zivelich noticed the oddly comfortable feeling and weight of a beanie baby, and that's what inspired him. Just 2 years later, in 1999, Tina Champagne, an occupational therapist, did an official study on weighted blankets and deep touch pressure, mainly as coping devices for individuals with special needs. For around 20 years, therapists primarily used weighted blankets for children that had sensory issues, ADHD, and certain forms of autism. Then in 2017, weighted blankets went mainstream with the Kickstarter created by Gravity Blanket. They raised $5 million dollars and sold more than 128,000 units. They were marketed as sleep aids and stress reducers. In fact, in 2018, Time magazine named blankets that ease anxiety as one of the best inventions of 2018. In 2020, there was also a Swedish sleep study that showed users get fewer nighttime awakenings and felt more rested when using a weighted blanket. Now let's talk about what weighted blankets are made out of. Most commonly, it's some type of fabric, and there are lots of different ones that are used. But the bigger difference and what really makes it the weighted blanket is what's inside. This is usually either plastic, glass, or metal beads. These blankets often have multiple layers that usually help out with things like breathability, being antibacterial, anti wrinkle, with comfort, or even temperature regulation. The most common ones are somewhere between 12 to 25 pounds, but heavier ones have been produced. At one point, there was a recommendation going around that the blanket should be 10% of your body weight. This actually ended up being a myth. So you may be wondering, if I sleep with one, will it fit my bed? There's usually three sizes. Ones that are 48 by 72 that are recommended for twins, 60 by 80 which are recommended for queen and full, and 80 by 86 which is recommended for kings. A lot of people will also use them on the couch. This is more for relaxation rather than sleeping. And one additional recommended place is if you have a massage chair. The use of both together has been described by some people as being euphoric. The most common brands are Gravity, Barabee, YNM, Luxem, Baloo, Luna, and Tranquility. One big issue people have run into when it comes to weighted blankets is they are very difficult to clean. There have even been some instances of these blankets completely destroying washers and dryers. The blanket itself can also either be destroyed or lose its shape from this process. Luckily, there are machine washable covers that will sometimes either come with them or can be bought separately. As a side note and a bit of advice, if at some point you were to wash your weighted blanket, the method of drying it is not to hang it out to dry, because that can also make it lose its shape, but to lay it flat on towels or on a flat surface where it can fully dry. Another question you may have is who specifically should or can use a weighted blanket. Most adults and children can use them, but make sure if someone is 2 or younger that they should not, because they can actually be very dangerous. There have actually been instances of dogs and cats enjoying them, so much so that they've created animal versions of weighted blankets to help sometimes with stress and anxiety. Now, speaking of that, you may be wondering, well, do I have any conditions that could be helped or aided by a weighted blanket? The first statement I'll make about that is doctors do say there is no verifiable proof of it being a sleep aid or a stress reducer, but it has actually been known to help with anxiety in small doses. There are, in fact, quite a few people out there, though, that have stated that weighted blankets have helped them with their neuropathy, restless leg syndrome, fibromyalgia, sleepwalking, insomnia, and of course, sensory issues related to things like ADHD and autism. As for my own personal experience, when I've had one in my house, I can tell you this: I hated it. I felt trapped. I felt overheated. It did not calm or help me whatsoever. Lastly, I'll talk about their popularity. When they first came out, and for a while, they were extremely popular. But at least in my own opinion, I really feel like that has decreased quite a bit. I don't see people talking about them or see advertising about them pretty much at all anymore. I feel like they've become more of a niche product like the Snuggie. So, putting all of that together, I am giving weighted blankets a 2 out of 5. Now, that's just my opinion, but I'd like to hear yours. Let me know what you would rank weighted blankets and if you agree or disagree with anything that I've said. Also, would it be a good idea or a bad idea if they started making them look like those classic 80s cartoon sheets? I'll be honest, I might have been more interested. And for those of you that stuck around or fast forwarded to this, here's the answer to the trivia question. Some weighted blankets are made with a very thick yarn. If you were to fully unravel and stretch that out, what's the longest length it's been known to get to? That would be 280 yards of yarn. That's as high as the Eiffel Tower. I hope you enjoyed episode 3 of Everything Gets Reviewed. Feel free to keep sending me ideas of other things I should review, from the most bland to the most ridiculous, and if possible, I will try to review it at some point. In the meantime, though, please like and share this video, and if you want to check out more things from Askewed Reviews, whatever platform you're watching this on, subscribe or follow.